And we are live. While I settle things up and try to be technically, beautifully, amazingly awesome, I think this time I've come out with a thing. It'll not echo. It'll not happen. It's not happening. I had think I have the 100 interviews. I have nailed it, and there'll be no echo. Yes, we are live without any echo. All right. So good evening from India. And it's been a little special day for me as a mom. My first one has turned 9 and just growing. And so I was just doing the birthday party and just came out from that to meet another mom because I'm all about moms. And Sherist is also one of us in the book. And the space is getting created to not bring moms only once, but keep bringing the first 100 stories I found, keep getting them back, let the new people know them because new people keep joining, people who've missed the interviews, because that's the whole point, that the community has to be so close that these 100 moms, one, have to know each other, and then everybody should know these 100 moms, whoever gets in touch with any of us. So I'm bringing Sherist back with, yet again, series. I've started Mom Vibes on Wednesday. This is another series now I'm starting with Sherist, called Conversations That Matter, because I love having conversation with Sherist, and this inspired into this beautiful thing. And I am doing a program with her called Make It Happen, and many beautiful conversations happen and a lot of great insights. So Sherist, welcome back. And thank you for starting this new thing called Conversations That Matter. I would like you to reintroduce yourself to this community. Who are you? What are you doing? What's your dream? Because we're all about dreaming, we're all about creating, we're all about moving forward. So please do that. And I'm just going to invite some people on the side, but I'm listening to you.
You got it. Hi. Well, good morning, everyone. I know Shika, it's evening over there, and it's morning for me. And so my name's Sherist, as Shika said, and I'm a mom, just like many of us, right? Especially the moms in the group, but we're also live everywhere right now. I'm a mom of two, and my boys are actually 27 and 29 years old. So I have adult kids. But not only was I a mom, I was a single mom, and I actually also had moved to another state to raise my kids, not knowing anyone, and created a whole new life when my children were like, I think 3 and 5. So they were really, really young. So I can talk about mom challenges all day long. And that's partly why I have really embarked on a journey. My big dream, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a business. I'm a social entrepreneur, I call myself. I run a business with purpose. And so my business really fuels my passion to be able to empower women and children and people in general. But I have a focus on women and children. So hence mothers, right? And also young women, young girls, and like I said, I'm boys, so I'm not prejudiced to anyone, but from my heart and soul, I know that there are so many different things that I struggled personally and I can relate to. So really helping women overcome adversity. I am a ACEs survivor, thriver, that is adverse childhood experiences, and everything I do is studying how our past experiences, perceived traumas affect us today, and how can we unravel those pieces to really live the life we were meant to.
Right.
And so that's what I'm out here. That's my passion. But the other thing that fuels the passion is how can I have a bigger reach and a bigger impact in people's lives? Well, the more I impact other women, the bigger the reach is. The more, if a woman is fully empowered, has the tools and resources, is learning the tools to overcome the things and to empower their children today, we're actually one at a time, really, really, really changing the world. So that's a little bit about, I mean, that's an overview, but we're going to get really deep today. So I'm really excited to be here, Shika.
Today I want to just take another step too, and because there's so much that you have to share, Shreya, and I'm sure a lot of mothers will be coming joining these conversations in the future. So I want to take this in a little deeper way, this conversation a step deeper, because stories are going to get launched. Just letting you know that the book cover is ready, and I'm going to soon be sharing it with all the moms. Um, you know, like I just interviewed a mom who dealt with nuclear explosion in Ukraine when she was young, and then she moved. So I asked her a question that, okay, I know that, we cannot leave it there. We don't know who's watching, who gets. So I asked her, what is it like when she said her dog had to be let go off because of the radiation. And I asked her the question saying, what does it happen? What happens? Because somebody who's going through it can tell you in person rather than reading it. So what question I'm asking you now is, what is ACEs? Because we hear it, but many people don't know what ACEs is. And you being, actively talking about ACEs, I didn't know it unless you told me. So what is ACEs? We must tell people, because some things had dropped in my consciousness that I don't know whether I'm being hard on myself, but when you start, going towards your dream and all that, even the emotional negligence is considered part of the ACEs, criteria when you were talking about. And I was
Yes.
like, oh yeah, maybe, because I only thought it was extreme things. So let's just quickly put that in, because you talk a lot about ACEs, and just empower more people to know, because that just gave me a ringing bell. Am I emotionally ignoring in order to do this project? And then I just at least tuned myself and and just came back to the path again after hearing it. So let's just talk quickly about ACEs. What is ACEs?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Shika. Because anytime I can talk about ACEs, I will. So, as I said, ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And there was a study in the 90s done by Kaiser and the CDC in the US, and they studied health conditions and past experiences. So the whole study was to see, okay, could experience that happened in childhood project or change, does it have an impact on who we are today? Of course, a lot of us know that, right? If we learn something or we experience something, let's say you had almost a near drowning, you may be afraid of water as an adult, and you may not even remember you had a near drowning, and maybe it wasn't even a near drowning. Maybe
Yeah,
it was you slipped in the water and you felt like you were drowning and you were just having stress and anxiety that in your mind you perceived that you were going to drown. And
right.
so we take those experiences with us. But the study, what was interesting is they were looking for those type of things, and what they actually found is that the more ACEs, and I'll give you the idea of what the ACEs are. So it's abuse, and sometimes I chop this up. So abuse meaning physical, emotional, and sexual. So there's three types of regular abuse. Neglect, physical and emotional. And then we have 5 household dysfunctions. So if you live with in domestic violence, if you've had a family member with mental illness, and by the way, the old perceived way of mental illness was that they were really crazy, right? They were schizophrenic, they were bipolar, all this kind of stuff. Mental illness is depression. Mental illness is sabbath. Like if you're living with somebody that's constantly depressed, how does that affect who you are, especially as a child? It definitely isn't empowering. A family member that's incarcerated, divorce and separation, and death of a family member. So there's 10. I think I missed one, but there's so many more. During the study, they only focused on those. They studied those 10 things. And now we know, for instance, immigration separation, the children. There's so many more that have come up since there. Discrimination, bullying. I mean, I could go on and on. So whether it's a perceived trauma or a real trauma, our brain does not know the difference. It's in the way we experience it that creates how we are impacted by it. And what the study did is they linked it to the more ACEs you had. Now, it didn't mean I was abused, 20 times, so I have 20 ACEs. No, if you were physically abused, doesn't matter once or 1,000 times. If you were sexually abused once or 1,000 times, each one of those gave a score out of those 10. And what they found is the higher your ACE score, and by the way, there is an ACE test. If you go to my website, I have the link to it on there, weempoweraces.org. The higher your score, the more the more health problems you had. So guess what? They attached diabetes to it. You have a higher risk of having diabetes. You have a higher risk of having heart attack. You have a higher risk of suicide tendencies, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Like all these numbers, the more you had went up. So what the importance of the study was is not only does it impact our mental health, it impacts our physical health. So one of the examples I like to use is how, you hear about this guy, 50-year-old man, absolutely healthy, goes to the gym all the time, eats healthy, and has a heart attack and dies at 50. Well, what they do is they've studied those, and oftentimes those people had very high ACEs. And so we're not looking at that. So going back to ACEs, once we become aware of that, then the doors open to changing that. So that's why it's important to bring awareness on it, because this isn't your death sentence. I have a score of 10, right? So I used to, I was mortified when the truth hit me, and I was like, oh my God, when I looked at those numbers. And when you have like 6 or more, your life expectancy goes down 20 years. And so that was a huge thing. Like, oh my gosh, I've got to like really change everything. I've got to reprogram what I think, how I react. And some of that has to do with, and this is why it's important with moms, because people in general, but as a mom, many times our stress levels are so high. We are, juggling so many things and we're overwhelmed. Well, all of those feelings create chemical responses in our bodies. And those chemical responses release different kinds of hormones. And those hormones go into our bloodstream, into our neurological system. And so there's where these long-term conditions are happening. And so we can do things to reverse that, by the way. And that was the best thing I found out when I heard about ACEs, is that it's like it's with us. Those experiences are with us. But when we can change how we perceive it, when we can change not just the perception of it, but the reality of that's in the past. That's not me today. And when we can become aware of what's triggering us today and be able to build our toolkit, which is something that I'm very big about teaching, that toolkit to be able to deal with those stresses and those triggers, then we change our reaction and we produce different hormones that empower us and we do other things. So in a nutshell, what happens, and by the way, the other part of it is when we have ACEs is the gift that keeps giving. So oftentimes, and it's not a good gift, it's a gift we don't want to give everyone. We need to stop giving it. But as a mother, the reality was like, oh my gosh, because of my ACEs, I caused ACEs on my kids, and I didn't even know I was doing it. I had no idea I was doing it, and it wasn't intentional. And that reality made me go, oh my gosh, my parents didn't know they were causing those on me either. And so this whole thing about forgiving and letting go and releasing some of these old things, it doesn't serve us. It hurts us. It hurts our children. It hurts all of our future generations because it's generational. And so being able to be aware of it and seeing the words we're using, the way we're, like, are we reacting stressful with our kids and yelling? Like, I had a lot of anger for a long time. So I was really stressed out a lot. And, I was a single mom in a state, and oh my gosh, it was so hard. But I also hadn't dealt with all of my childhood issues. So anyway, but there's hope. There is absolute hope. Here I am talking about it and empowering everyone to like just become aware. Awareness is number one. And so I'll leave it there, Shika.
Yeah. So that's why I asked that question, because, people are watching, and it's just that it when we are going through it, but it in your instincts. But when you talk about it and you say, oh, this is ACEs, and this is how you're passing it, and this is what it is, and at least something sits on your head and you just can't stop it. And I think we've had this conversation in our group about the passing and how we need to just stop it, because the passing just keeps happening. And that's what this whole project of 100 self-portrait, 100 dreams is, that we need to start rippling out in a positive way, because the energy of the future generation depends on the energy of today's mom. And that's it. Today, what the energy of us is what the future generation is going to carry and multiply. So it's actually in our hands to start stopping it if we can, depending on what kind of damages they've done. But if we start and we can stop, great in this life. But if we start, our children can stop it further. They would be in a better space. So it's beautiful that I'm talking about that. And hence, I'm so passionate about your whole thing of wanting to design people's lives. And that's what the challenge you're coming up with, that uh, people can design their lives. That's a very beautiful word. And I have complimented you many times on creating that whole challenge, is about designing your life. And when you say that word, that design, a lot of responsibility comes to us. Not only that, a lot of curiosity comes to us, a lot of intentional working comes to us, because designing doesn't happen on its own. Design happens when you sit and work and you create and you move and you match up things, and then you design the whole thing of the vision that you want. And it's, as all of us, many of us here in the group are doing a lot of inner work, we know that we can create the life we're thinking. And Shreyas is bringing this challenge to bring out that the tools that she can give it. So let's just talk about a little about how have you designed your life and how designing your life will help, because now it's rippling out from you to others as your work. So what is it that we can tell people about that?
Yeah, I didn't realize that I was designing my life. We are designing our life every day, whether it's the life we like or the life we don't like.
Right.
Period.
Right.
We're designers. We are the ones that are driving our reactions, our experiences, how we live, everything. So every single person right now is a designer. It's just, are you designing what you really want? Are you designing a life you really love? Are
Right.
you coming from that place of purpose and passion? And so one of the things that I didn't know I knew early on is I found my purpose through my pain and through the things that I went through. But I didn't realize, like, for me, it was a way of impacting lives, gave me a sense of fulfillment. Doing the philanthropy work I was doing gave me this sense, but I didn't realize what I was doing much more than that, by the way. I was recreating neurobrain, like different things in my brain. I was recreating patterns and habits and all this stuff. And I realized it more so when I went to the Philippines and I had gone. I knew for a very young age, I knew I wanted to be a foster parent, like at a young age. I wanted to be an attorney too. I didn't understand why I wanted to be an attorney. Nobody in my family ever went to college. Nobody ever talked about being a lawyer or attorney. But I realized later on the reason is because I wanted to protect children. I wanted to be able to be there for them. And so I had this dream, right? We talk about the dream, to dream bigger. I always had this dream of like having all these children that I'm changing their lives, and there's a story behind that. I went into a foster home, and I not personally me, but I knew a girl that was in there, and I saw the abuse at like 12 years old. I saw the pain of all these kids. I was mortified. At that moment I was like, my life isn't that bad. What am I complaining about, right? And so what happened is I literally had this dream, and in my mind I kept saying, I don't know when, I don't know how, but when opportunity comes, I'm going to do something big like that. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, I need to build a business. I need to be able to have income. So I was doing things in place so that when the time came, I would be able to have that opportunity. I was creating the space. I was designing it because I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how. And so many times we focus on the how instead of planning and prepping, because guess what? Every single one of you, the opportunity has knocked at your door for the dream you've wanted. You just haven't seen it, or you haven't been ready for it. So
Right.
you shied away from it because you're not prepared. So
Right.
I was preparing, and lo and behold, one day I'm told, you need to be the one to build this orphanage for us because these kids are going to be abandoned and on the street. And I'm like, I freaked out at first, but then I thought, I've been preparing for this for a long time. I was running two businesses, a software development company and a healthcare consulting and management company. And I was living in the Philippines, And now I'm going to build an orphanage and manage construction and architects. And so I literally, beside doing the architectural work, I manage the entire construction, everything from the beginning to the end. And so later, after that, is when I started realizing, like, holy cow, you're really good at project planning, managing, but thinking through a big vision and starting with the little pieces of it, right? There's so many elements that we'll talk about and what we're going to teach in the Design Your Life that I had already subconsciously started planning so that when the day came, let's roll, let's go. And I built it in less than a year, I think a year and a half, and I didn't have like the full funds. Not only did we build it, I had to keep fundraising for it. I had a team of 90 people in 3 countries in my business plus building this. It was insane. So talk about, when you are so clear on what you need to do and you have a plan, you can do just about anything, is what my belief is.
Right, right. And I mean, just the whole journey. I also feel and it's all rippling. I just have started to believe in the rippling and the compound effect of the belief. People think that the belief starts one fine day and we should start believing. It doesn't happen. It happens like a compound effect. Slowly, one day it doesn't look too much, and then little bit, and little bit. So I'm sure your journey was actually believing first, okay, can I do that? And then you just kept on building on it and believing on it. And then suddenly, like a compound effect, it's like so much that you are right there in charge of your life and then impacting it out. So this last year's project and 1.5 years I've been doing this. This is what I've understood. Keep doing, ripple it out, compound effects, and then it starts to move out. And that's what even the design in your life would be. It doesn't happen overnight. It is step at a time. It is and you know me, I'm not a person with Excel sheets and doing it and intentionally sitting there. And I am with your group trying to do that. And I have a peak performance coach who's an athlete who's pushing me to think like that. But the programming is so like I am an intuitive person, and I'm just like, it is so much work. But I just know that to bring these 100 moms, if I don't do this, that dream is not happening. It's just not happening because there's just so many pieces that keep coming every day. I'm like, I wish I would have planned this 6 months back, what I'm learning today, but never too late. So I am working with a peak performance coach, and I am in the make it happen, and I am sitting with Excel sheets. Not my favorite thing to do, but I'm doing it every single day to go to design the life. And very soon, a lot of news is coming on what all is rippling out for moms. I'm just holding on because I believe I just need to hold on, because if I start scattering all the news, it ripple even more, and then I'll not be able to collect it. So I know a lot of moms are watching. Therese is watching, Frank is watching, Debbie is watching, Sally is watching, and they are just supporting us as usual. Debbie has also been very, very supportive. Therese has been supportive. Frank is there cheering us up. Sally is always there. So I mean, we already have moms, Lucy, I already starting to get this. So I am very, very honored to bring works of moms out. And I totally believe in your work because I see the passion. I see what you created. I see the ripple effect. I see the compound effect already in the future of your work, Sherist. So I'm totally a supporter of your compound effect because I'll be standing right there cheering you up. When this has from a penny become, from a penny, it has become like such a big thing. You know how there's a story that a father just gave a penny. Do you know that story?
Every day.
Yeah, yep. Every day it just became in a month's time more than the one who took the whole money. And so I'm definitely cheering you up. So let's quickly talk about Designer Challenge, how they can watch it. We should keep it like we have 4 minutes to make it a 30-minute thing. And everyone out here and all of you are in the book. I would really request personally that I am going to keep bringing moms. I keep bringing, like we had Renu who was chopping her hair off to donating her chair. We keep bringing moms here, and I always hear that lots of moms supported them. So today, Shress is there on the spotlight. Let's support this designer challenge because she's very passionate about it. She'll stand there and she will give you all the tools that she's learned. And I'm definitely supporting her with getting my self-portrait tool out there as a bonus. And if we can start sharing this and bring more people to the challenge and meet more people and do this together, it would be amazing. So let's just talk about that challenge, Shreyas. What is it? When is it? How can people join? Yes, we're going to put the link. What are we doing?
Yeah, before I do that, what I want to also say is in what Shika was saying about a plan. Like most visions, dreams, and businesses don't come to full fruition because people don't have the right plan. They don't like I know and I know what Shika was saying too. It seems overwhelming. Oh, I got to put this plan together. But guess what? It's like GPS. Do you have to map out every street you're going to turn when you're going to a new state or you're taking a multi-state drive? No, you plug in the GPS and you follow it. You do the work. I mean, we don't have to do the work anymore at GPS, but somebody did, right? So the thing is that when you can do the work in with intention, with purpose, with passion, which is all the things we're going to go over, the plan doesn't seem that daunting, but what you get is the clarity. What you get is, and I've got one of my maps with me, what you get is something that you just look at and go, oh yep, that's right. Or when I take the wrong turn and I start working on things that aren't getting me closer to my goals and my dreams, I can look right back at my map and go, nope, that's not serving me right now. That can be a year from now because I didn't put that in my plan. Or you decide at that moment that that is something that needs to be incorporated and needs to be thought out and put in there. So I am so passionate about that because I've seen so many businesses fail. I've been helping businesses for over 15 years now. Actually, my whole life. I started a law firm for someone when I was 21 years old. So I started building businesses at 21 years old. And the thing is that the ones that didn't succeed out of all the hundreds of clients I worked with were the ones that they were so scattered. They had no plan. And so now I am so passionate about whether it's your personal life or your business life or this blueprint I'm going to share. You can use it for anything. You could use it for your weekly planning. You could use it for a project. You can use it for a vacation or for a money goal. It doesn't matter. It's the same steps every time. And so over 5 days, which starts September 12th. And by the way, I've never shared this for free. I don't even share this with my clients. Shika and Shani were the first to actually have access to that in the Make It Happen. We did a trial, or not a trial, but I went full blown with them, but we did it in a small group so that I could test it and we could really make sure when I bring out this plan that it wasn't just me that it worked for. But in 5 hours, every day for an hour starting September 12th, I'm going to teach you one of the pieces of what I call my KISS map. And the KISS map stands for Keep It Simple Strategy. And the map is Massive Action Plan. So when you can put the two together, a strategy and a massive action plan, then it's explosive. Like there's nothing that can stop you. So it doesn't matter if you're already super successful, if you already feel like you are walking the path of your dream. Do you want to get there quicker? Do you want to make more impact? Do you want to get there smarter? Do you want to fail less during it? Because now I invite failure because failure teaches me. I want to fail early, by the way, now, so I get those lessons. But here you're going to get more tools. And one of the things that I keep because I've had resistance from people. Oh, I'm already doing what I'm doing. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a really great book, one of the chapters is Sharpen the Knife. We have to continue to sharpen our knives. Like they do get dull and we continually have to bring in new tools and resources. And so maybe you won't use all of it, but I guarantee you there's something that I will be sharing and even my guest speakers that are going to come in that will be sharing that's going to change the way you are designing your life. Because if you had the life you wanted right now, and you were done, right? When we stop growing, we're dead. I hate to say it and be blunt. We are continually designing our life. We can't stop. And we keep needing to elevate and to grow and to do more and to be more. So I invite you. So anyway, it's an hour every day and we'll go through a blueprint, and then Shani and Shika will actually be joining us in some other sessions. The recordings will be there until the next morning, And then we do have a VIP option if you want to join us in a private Q&A, Zoom room, and have special, like we're going to have a special day where, a couple hours where we'll come together and I'll actually help you with your questions on putting your KISS map together. And so it's just, we're going to pour. This is one of the, I don't know if I'll do this ever again. I'm just doing it now and I'm going to test it out. And I hope at least you come and support us too, because this is something that I feel every person we should share this out with the world. And I'm not charging for it, so why not help out? Why not get this out there? Somebody out there is going to need this program.
Yeah. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to use just copying the challenge thing to some people who I really feel that they talk about their dreams all the time and the action step is missing, not because they don't want to, but just because they don't have the tool and the overwhelm takes over. And now working even with an athlete coach, I realized that so many steps are missing and the preparation is so important, and that's what this is all for. And you just mentioned, Sherist, that the preparation part is such an important thing. We don't prepare enough, and we always into competing mode, doing mode, and we just fall flat after a point, and we're just like, we failed, and then the failure becomes a bigger thing, and you have so many inspiring things to tell to people. So I would urge for sure everybody who we're going to see the replay, I'm going to share it with more people, and let's do it together and create our goals and hear each other's goals and see where we're reaching. And Sherist is very, very passionate about it. Sherist and people who work with Sherist are very passionate about it. I am one of the people who have joined her, and it passes on to me as a light as well. And we are all here to share light with each other. There's a poem that I'd written a long time back. I was into poetry, and I would want to end from that, which came from the growth part you were talking. I was sitting in a hospital and I looked at the ECG, the straight lines and the thing, and just these lines that came to me called The Lifeline. It's a 4-line poem which I'd written called The Lifeline. And it said, join the two obvious dots of birth and death. The line between those dots becomes your life. A straight, monotonous line or an interesting pattern in between. Choose your lifeline. So that's the poem that I wrote at that time. And that realization came, that straight line is dead line. It's the up and down, up and down, up and down. That's the reality. So I would urge to let's go up and down, and try this, and not just keep sitting and trying to walk in a straight line, because however long we are living, we must live up and down, up and down, up and down, because one day it will become straight line and we're gone. So let's just end it there. Sherist, anything before we leave?
No, I love what you said. Oh, yes, I do want to add that part where you said about an athlete. Does an athlete, just because they're good, do they stop practicing? No. A peak performer or a high achiever, Kobe Bryant, one of the best athletes of all time, would practice every single day more than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And so these are the things that we need to do to be that high performer. We can't just be thinking it. We have to put it into action. And so, let's not flatline. Let's all go on this roller coaster together. I mean, life is that. It is a roller coaster, but we can enjoy the ride.
Just roller coaster more than that. I've learned it from you, not a roller coaster, but it is the reality. Dead line is the straight line. It's the up and down, which is the real line. So we just shift our consciousness to the up and down line. And that's the fun part of the thing. And that should be great. So yes, you were saying something.
No, that's it.
You were saying something. You want to just invite people with one thing that would you like to give a message before you leave?
Okay, let's get real. Do not let yourself end up on that deathbed with all these regrets of the dreams you didn't make happen. That is my end. Not only that, don't leave those dreams to die with you. Because we have children, we have legacy, we have nieces, we have nephews, we have generations beyond us to impact their lives and to show them that they can. So we all have to step up and be that, pave the way, but not by talking, by doing, by being, by experiencing, by changing perception. So change, like do everything you can to make it happen, and don't let all this, chitter chatter and other people and everything else get in your way. And that's one of the things you're going to be hearing a lot from me during that challenge.
Awesome. So let's just get it here so that when we tell people it's a 36-minute, half an hour interview, you must at least watch it. And it's been inspiring talking to you, Shreyas. It's been, I'm very thankful to people coming comment. I just send message and they just come and they pour in love and they listen to the speaker and they talk about it and they share it. Thank you everyone who's there. And, my internet is not showing me too much comments. I can just see a few people who are joining in, but thank you, thank you, thank you for not only joining for this, but to believing that this community can become a community where we can support each other and we must support each other. And the fact that we are meeting, all of us are holding that dream. And I just let people know that whether we are meeting now, on November, or we're meeting on a bigger event, we don't know, but we all are meeting very soon. All 100 of us locking arms. I'm creating everything possible, and this helps make it happen. Event helps, talking every day out very honestly amongst the group. So this challenge will help move many pieces for all of you. Love you guys. I'll go back to my son. He's still waiting for having dinner with me. It's his birthday. And I shall see you soon. Thanks, Shreyas, for coming, and love you too much for being who you are.
Love you too, Shika. Happy birthday to your son.
Thank you. I'm just going to just stop the live, stick back. Thank you, everyone.